I'm Allison from Learning at the Primary Pond. I'm a literacy specialist, and in this video, I'm going to talk about why informational text can be so challenging for young readers to comprehend, especially as the texts get harder. And I'm also going to share 5 instructional moves that you can make to help your kids understand informational or nonfiction text. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would love for you to do that now. And then also don't forget to hit the little bell so that you don't miss out on any of the brand new videos that I post about teaching literacy. So there's many different things that can make nonfiction challenging, but let's talk about some of the reasons why a kiddo might be struggling. Number 1, word recognition. Of course, if they're not accurately and fluently recognizing the words in a text, then more of their mental resources are devoted to just reading the words and figuring out what the words say. So of course, comprehension is going to kind of fall by the wayside, right? So that honestly applies to fiction and nonfiction, but I just wanted to mention that because it absolutely can be getting in the way. Something that makes fiction a little bit easier than nonfiction is that our brains are really primed for stories and language. Stories tend to stick with us. It's just kind of how our brains are programmed. And so nonfiction, that's not stories, right? That's information. And so sometimes that makes it harder for our brain to understand and retain that type of text. The next piece of what makes nonfiction so difficult for readers is the number of ideas that are contained in a nonfiction text and the work, the cognitive demand that's on the reader to bridge those ideas, to make inferences, and sometimes even use background knowledge that the reader may or may not have. So, okay, here is an example of a sentence from maybe like a 2nd grade text. I think it's from our literacy clubs. This says, the rockhopper penguin has webbed feet that work as flippers to help it swim. For a lot of us, we can probably visualize, even if we don't know what a rockhopper penguin looks like, we can imagine like, oh yeah, we know what webbed feet are. We know what flippers are, right? That like humans might use when they're snorkeling or scuba diving, maybe, I don't know. But most of us have some background knowledge coming into this particular sentence. And for us, understanding this sentence is pretty easy. Now let's break this down and imagine, let's put ourselves in the shoes of a 2nd grade reader who may not have the same background knowledge. First of all, they're having to realize that rockhopper is a type of penguin, which may have been explained earlier in the text or not. They also have to, and this is background knowledge, know what webbed feet are, right? They might think, oh, a web, like a spider web. Now that's very different than webbed feet. So if they don't have that background knowledge, that's tricky. It's helpful if they know what flippers are too, especially if they've ever worn flippers like to snorkel and they know that wearing the flippers makes swimming easier. Otherwise, how are they gonna know, like, okay, you're telling me these webbed feet, which I don't really know what that is, make swimming easier. Like they might get, okay, they have special feet that make swimming easier, but they're not necessarily going to understand how that happens, right? So there's details here that some kids would get and some kids would not get. There's also just the vast number of ideas in this sentence, right? That rockhopper is a type of penguin, that it has webbed feet, that the webbed feet work as flippers, and also that those feet help them swim. They make swimming easier. So one sentence, right? One sentence in a text has all of those ideas. And so especially as kids move up into like 2nd grade and above, there's so many ideas crammed in the text because they're reading more, but that also means that there's more in there for them to unpack. So it's really important that even starting in kindergarten, as kids are learning to read, we are teaching them strategies and building them up so that they can be successful with informational text. Because there's this saying that like in 3rd grade, kids go from learning to read to reading to learn. I don't think that's necessarily like always the case. Like there's still skills we need to be building. But at the same time, once they get into 3rd grade, the demands usually for them reading like academic textbooks and things like that usually increases. So what we do in K-2 is gonna build a good foundation or not build a good foundation for them to be successful. So let's talk about how we can help them be successful with informational text. First, let's talk a little bit about text choice. Number 1, we want to make sure that the kids are engaged, right? Because when readers, and this is true of like fiction or nonfiction, but when readers are more engaged and more motivated to read the text, then they're more likely to be successful with decoding it and also comprehending it. So something that I love to use are my decodable Safari texts. They are about animals, and my students love them because most kids love animals. And so they're more motivated to read them because they are on a high interest topic. So picking texts that you know your kids will enjoy can be very helpful. Another thing we want to look at is, you know, with decodables, a lot of the decodables you'll see are fiction. So we want to make sure that we are giving them opportunities to read nonfiction text, but we also have to watch what we're giving them. Because if we're giving them text that's too hard, they're going to end up guessing with words, struggling, and comprehension isn't going to happen because they're just having trouble figuring out the words. So like with my decodable Safari text, we tell you, okay, these include vowel consonant and CVC words. This includes silent E words. And we made these like more challenging texts accessible to kids by limiting the words that are included. There will sometimes be like 2 pre-teach words, which we have underlined. And the reason for that is because, so right before you read, you just tell them, okay, this word is hornbill, say hornbill, and they read it. If you don't include, like as a writer, if you don't include any of those more challenging academic vocabulary words, you're really not going to be able to write nonfiction for kids. So just by including like a couple of pre-teach words, what we did is we gave them access to these engaging topics on nonfiction. And we also allow them to be successful because you as the teacher are like just telling the kids what those words are. And it's just a couple of words, but again, it gives them access to these really exciting, fun topics that are also good for building their informational text reading skills. So text choice is key for sure. Now let's talk about 5 tips to help your kids be successful when you're working with nonfiction text with them. So one thing is when you introduce the text for them, couple of things. You want to set a clear purpose. You want to say, okay, we're going to read about the rhinoceros hornbill. That's a big name for a bird, isn't it? Say that with me, rhinoceros hornbill. And you also want to give them a specific purpose. So you might say, we're going to read and learn about some different facts about the rhinoceros hornbill, but I want you to pay close attention so that you learn what the rhinoceros hornbill eats. So you're setting a very specific purpose. Another thing that you can do when you're having them read nonfiction text, if it's like a physical book, you can have them like walk through and like just talk about the pictures, get them like talking about what they see. You can provide some background knowledge. You don't want to just give everything away in the text because then it's not fun and engaging for them to read. But maybe you pull up like a quick YouTube clip, just a couple of seconds of a rhinoceros hornbill doing its thing, catching some, you know, bugs or whatever, right? So you might pull up a quick video clip. You might just read them a sentence or two, and, you know, like ChatGPT or just the internet is great for finding a couple of sentences for background knowledge. We talked about background knowledge, and it's, you know, like if you were reading this rockhopper penguin sentence, you might want to show them these are flippers or these are what webbed feet look like. Just giving them some information that will help their brain fill the gaps and be more successful with reading the text. Whatever background knowledge you think is essential to them understanding the text. So we've said, set a clear purpose for reading and build background knowledge. Another thing you can do, and this is true before you read, this is true while you're reading, this is true after you're reading, is engage kids in using their oral language skills around the topic. Oral language is really the foundation that kids use to learn to read and write. And so before they read, you might ask them to tell a partner, like, what do you notice about the rhinoceros hornbill's body? Or maybe you have them read, even if it's just a short text, have them read a couple of sentences and have them tell a partner one new thing they learned. Or maybe your kids are a little more advanced and you want them to write about the text. Great, that's a great activity, but have them talk about the text and whatever their answer to the question is going to be before they write about it. So utilize those oral language skills to kind of scaffold their reading and writing with the text. Another strategy is to use graphic organizers to help them organize visually the ideas in the text. This could be something like a compare and contrast Venn diagram. It could be a T-chart. In our decodable Safari text, we have different graphic organizers. We have black and white too, if you want to print and make copies for your kiddos. Or maybe sometimes they're like copying and pasting things. They are writing things in. It's just an engaging way for them to engage with the ideas of the text and see them visually represented. Graphic organizers are effective in general, so for building any type of comprehension, understanding of text, even preparing to write about a text, but especially with nonfiction, they can be really helpful. And they can also, depending on how you're using them, help kids understand text structure. So like maybe the text is organized into what monkeys eat, this type of monkey, where they live, you know, how they raise their young. And so that's something, you know, that they might have headings in the informational text, but you can also then have like a 3-column chart after the kids read to organize those ideas and drive home their understanding of how the text is organized, because understanding how a text is organized is another skill that will help with their comprehension. My last tip is to really consider the cognitive load that we're placing on kids when we're asking them to do these more challenging activities, especially if they're English language learners. So we've said that nonfiction text, even just one sentence, it can be a lot for kids, a lot of ideas, maybe requires background knowledge. So there's a lot going on. So when you're reading decodable nonfiction or any kind of nonfiction text, have like a sort of like a pretty consistent like pre-reading routine, and then what you expect them to do while they're reading, anything you expect them to do afterward. In the decodable Safari text, we have like something where the kids can answer questions. They can use a graphic organizer about it. So it's like a pretty consistent routine, and that just reduces the demands on their brain, because if they're trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing and they're trying to figure out the text, that can be very cognitively demanding, and it adds another layer if they're English language learners. So if they're also not super proficient with English, especially academic English and some of these more challenging vocabulary words in nonfiction, another thing that makes it, you know, challenging, that's like an even higher load. So we just need to be cognizant of that, right? Like, what are we asking of our kids? And when the task is challenging, how do we like reuse instructional routines, things that they're familiar with, to reduce the cognitive load so they can truly focus on the text? Okay, I've got tons of these decodable Safari texts for you. I've got Kinder First and Second, or you can get a K-2 bundle that I think has like 60 texts all in. There's those graphic organizers, things for the kids to like write about regarding to the text. So it's a great routine to add to your, you know, small group or whatever you might want to be having the kids read decodables. And you're helping set a strong foundation so that when those nonfiction texts get even harder as kids move up in the grades, they are ready and they know how to deal with informational text, and they can continue growing their skills. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Look for the link in that caption. I appreciate you being here. Of course, let me know if you have any questions. Before you leave, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in my next video.